When Neo met the Oracle, he came across an unexpected sight. Children, several children in fact, all of them in the Oracle's living room. Some of them were watching television, others reading or playing games. One of them was levitating objects with her mind. These children are known as potentials, young humans with special abilities and who are close to awakening from the Matrix. The Oracle spends her days supervising these potentials, protecting and educating them. But what happens when one of these potentials decides to go against the Oracle's rules and attempts to contact the real world? This is the story of Run Saga Run, a potential who couldn't wait to escape. Welcome to Matrix Explained.
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Saga Telmer is one of a handful of children studying under the Oracle. Most consider it a privilege. Saga isn't most children. She's been called a rabble-rouser, a jokester even, a rebel. More often than not, she goes too far. Saga is in the Oracle's living room playing around with her powers with other children. Notice that on her right, there's the Spoon Boy. Saga is using her powers of levitation on 3 alphabet blocks and a live rat. Then an unknown person places their hand on Saga's shoulder, startling her, interrupting her concentration. Saga looks over her shoulder and sees the Oracle. Child, the ability to bend the Matrix is not something to trifle with. It's a great responsibility. Don't waste this knowledge on games. Why? Asks Saga. It's not like we're even here. The critical truth, dear Saga, is not rather we stand here, but knowing that we don't. As you well know, said the Oracle. Saga looks away from the Oracle and mumbles yes. Then come, enough practice today. I've just baked some cookies. Later that night, Saga snuck out of the Oracle's apartment. She is in a payphone in the middle of the city, trying to communicate with the real world. Hello? Is this an operator? Who is this? One of the Oracle's little pets. How did you... You shouldn't be calling this number. But you're alive, right? Real? Asked Saga. I'm an operator, said the voice on the phone. But you're outside. No, interrupted the operator. Well, look, it's not about inside-outside. It's about knowing. You sound like the Oracle, said Saga. Exactly. Now you really can't use this number. But I'm sick of studying, meditating. I want. Saga gets cut off by a weird sound coming from the phone. What's that? Trace locked. Get away from that phone. Run. Now. The operator cuts communication. Saga doesn't understand what is happening. Then, all of a sudden, a hand touches Saga's shoulder. She turns around and sees a group of tall, bulking gentlemen dressed in black and wearing sunglasses at night. Saga Telmer, you need to come with us. We have some questions. You've got to catch me first. Saga runs into a nearby department store. She dashes inside a glass elevator and goes up. Looking out the elevator, Saga sees that the agents have already reached the top floor and are waiting for her. They're trying to cut me off. The elevator makes it stop, and the agents have their guns pointing at the door. The elevator opens, but there's nobody inside. She climbed out the hatch. One of the agents makes a giant leap out of the hatch and lands on top of the elevator. About those questions, we don't want to hurt you, said the agent. Funny way of showing it. Saga sees the agent's gun tucked into his jacket. There's nowhere to run, Saga. We are stronger. We are faster. But you're not too bright. Saga leaps and climbs over the agent's shoulder. She grabbed his gun and propelled herself by kicking the agent in the back. The agent falls off the elevator. They're not so tough, said Saga confidently. But another agent pops out of the hatch. Saga opens fire at the agent, but he is dodging every bullet. It's impossible to escape. The elevator is 300 feet in the air and climbing, said the agent. No, just watch. Saga jumps off the roof of the elevator while thinking to herself that she is insane. She reaches and grabs on tight to a metal cable that is used to hang decorations. Got it, she said. From the elevator, the agents open fire on Saga. Bullets are speeding by inches away from her head. Saga lifts her feet over the cable and uses her knees to grab onto it. From an upside down position, Saga returns fire. Shooting the agents is not working. They are dodging every bullet. Now what? She asks. She shoots the cable, then swings out of the building by crashing out the window. Miraculously, Saga lands on her feet in the middle of traffic. A man starts to yell at Saga from his car. "I don't know what game you're up to, kid, but you're gonna get yourself killed." Saga watches how the angry man turns into an agent. The girl gets away from the agent, then she is blinded by the headlights of an 18-wheeler driving towards her. Saga focuses her vision on the driver, and it's another agent. She panics and shoots at the driver, but the truck is still coming. In a split second, Saga bends backwards, just like the agents did when they were dodging her bullets, believing that the truck would just drive over her. Her idea would have worked if her bracelet didn't get caught on the tow hook. The agent is not stopping the truck. He drives it into a back alley, dragging Saga underneath it. Saga looks up and sees that the truck is driving towards a concrete wall. The agent is going to crash the truck. Saga pulls with everything she's got and unhooks herself from the truck. She safely slides in between the tires, and the truck crashes into the wall, exploding on impact. With no time for Saga to catch her breath, the agents are about to catch her. "Enough of this. You've reached a dead end." Saga leaps away and lands on top of the truck. "Maybe," said Saga with a smile, "but that truck of yours seems to have opened a hole. Let's see where it goes." The agents begin to move the rubble with their bare hands. She's entered into an abandoned shop. It's completely boarded up. There are no exterior exits, but there is a connection attempt underway. Yes, the rebels are trying to get her out. The agents move the wreckage out of the way, revealing a giant gaping hole into the building and one telephone with the line off the hook. Saga was nowhere to be found. "As planned," said the agent. "It's almost too easy. She's gone. Start the trace." This fun little comic had some interesting pieces to analyze. It gave us a glimpse of the Oracle's teachings and conditionings. She takes in these special children before they awaken from the Matrix. She guides and tutors them. Meditation in particular is a very interesting exercise because, as Morpheus once said, people can only understand the Matrix once they see it with their own eyes.
For the longest time, I wouldn't believe it. And then I saw the fields with my own eyes.
But this comic disproves that notion. Not everyone has to see the Matrix to comprehend it. Take the Potentials as an example. These children are first taught about the Matrix before disconnecting them, minimizing the shock from awakening to the real world. In Saga's case, she was rebellious and didn't like following the rules. She called herself one of the Oracle's pets, and she wanted to be free. She is perhaps the only Potential that evaded the Oracle's mandates and contacted the Red Pills directly. What makes Saga even more interesting is that she confronted multiple agents and survived, though the end of the comic made it seem that the agents intentionally let her escape. But what could be the most important reveal in this comic was the Oracle's influence on future Red Pills. There has always been the question of if these children in the Oracle's living room were humans or programs. This comic finally answers that question. They are human children, trained and cared for by the Oracle. This means that the Oracle becomes part of these children's lives when they are the most vulnerable, teaching them about prophecies and controlling their perceptions. Previously, we've theorized that Morpheus could have been a Potential under the Oracle's care, which would explain why he was so devoted to the prophecy, because he was conditioned by the Oracle into believing her words ever since he was a child. Again, in theory, the relationship between the Oracle and the Red Pills will always be an interesting topic to explore and analyze. Yet the more we study this relationship, the less it makes sense. Something does not add up. If the Oracle is in charge of training Potentials, her influence and control over the Red Pills are more widespread than what the films led us to believe. But do you agree? Why does the Oracle train the Potentials? For Matrix Explained, please leave a like and subscribe. And thank you for visiting the Desert of the Real.